So write down your question if you haven't put it in the chat room. Um, Michael Anderson, Professor Anderson, you're good, man. See, Mary Chris, cohesion, yeah, yes. Convention, adulthood, candor separation, clarity integration. Well, we'll see if everyone else, you grade Mary, see if she got them right. What do you think? Kelly, you'll be after Cindy. And Corey has his down. Tracy, you'll be after Kelly. Scott, great question. Conviction and adulthood. Okay, so it looks like Corey and, oh, I missed Sally. So Sally, you'll be after Kelly, then Tracy. Rebecca, you'll be after Tracy. So Danny and Scott, go ahead and get on. John should be back pretty soon. And then I'll let you guys know when you can just watch in the chat room when you can get on. Usually we just want to have two up there at a time. And then when one goes off, like when Danny goes off, then Cindy, you can get on, but I'll also tell you down here. So, you guys ready to rock and roll? Good. Oh.
They're not watching this, right?
Well, I have you two captive.
Hello, can you hear me?
So virtual classrooms by your professors. What's been most helpful?
No, actually,
That
I've got
maybe
nothing to
one or
complain
two of
about.
them do, or one
It's been an
does,
amazing
or
experience. So
not?
unfortunately, I'm terrible at or for feedback on this particular thing.
Scott, what helps me is
don't use names.
for me it's when the instructor has some handouts like what we're doing tonight, and there's some takeaways. I mean, I like extemp, but if it's just do you have any questions? Do you have any
Okay.
questions?
So
But
anything
I
in
like
particular
to
they do?
prepare in advance,
Yeah.
and I like handouts.
No, go ahead. Okay. Okay. Great.
Coaching, yes. Leadership, no.
You have any professors that role play any leadership skills for you? I keep pushing them that way, so I'm just curious if anyone has taken me up on that. Okay.
I'd have to burn your house down if I did that. It's an ugly business, isn't it?
So, can you tell us if you voted Democratic or Republican last night? I'm just kidding.
Just a second.
That's what I figured. Oh, good. It's wild out there. So
Classes specifically are.
there's some good leadership that can help
I know
us
what they
out.
are.
So
It's developing executive coaching relations and healthy
So what
culture
course are you taking
and
this time,
performance.
Danny?
Those are the two classes I'm in right now. I have Professor Jill, and I'm not going to bother bastardizing her
you,
last
Jill.
name,
I know you.
and then Dr. Tim Peters.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a really great class so far.
Oh,
Classes.
okay. So who do you have for those?
Actually, I finished my basic
Okay.
coaching certification, and I'm in the process of launching my business.
Okay.
And I've already been doing coaching,
Good.
but
What,
my website
okay.
with all my
What have you
details
been
should
taking? What are
be
you taking right now, Scott?
launched here in the
You
next
taking
couple of
anything, or
weeks.
you?
But my
Okay.
practice will be focusing on people who are pastors, people who are in higher education, missionaries, global workers, and so that's the focus. But really,
Oh, good.
anybody that would be open to a biblically based approach.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, welcome. Hi folks.
Right. Mm-hmm. Good. It's good to hear.
Let's do it. Good evening everybody. Always glad to see all the smiling faces here, and so I'm going to open with a
Hey
word
there,
of prayer
buddy.
and ask God to help us tonight. God, thank you for an opportunity to learn and grow and lead and coach.
They're ready to rock
And
and
help us
roll.
to
They're
listen to
lining
you
up, bud.
and to be different people. In Jesus' name, amen. Just to go over the housekeeping rules, we just have a few. Keep it simple. There aren't any bad questions, but one question. So you don't tag team a question on a question on a question, because we get a long queue of people. You got to respect people that are waiting in line. And no heavy lifting. I don't want the same person getting back in line 3 times because everybody else is either panicked or lazy or whatever. Ask your questions. The more people asking questions, the better. And always say your name and where you're from in the world, because we really are trying to build the idea of the reality and make you aware of the reality that people are all over here, and they are some of them are your cohorts, some of the people you care about, people in other countries. So always say where you're from. And I will, as we finish the evening, I will try to decide among the questions, whose question had the best value for everybody. Kind of a broad question that I think, boy, everybody needs to hear that. And you'll get a book, and just go to, and I'll pick out the person before we end up our night, and then we'll go to, then you just, go to Amazon, pick the one you like. I don't do books by Tom Clancy or John Grisham, just the ones that I've written. And then we'll have it sent to my office. I'll sign something nice to you and thank you for your participation, and go ahead and have your book. And that doesn't mean if you've got sort of a personal or contextual or very precise kind of question, that doesn't mean don't ask, because those are very, very helpful. It just means that's not going to be the broad question to get the book. But goodness gracious, your big goal here is not the book. Your goal here is to get your questions answered. So, Scott, any other housekeeping, or we kind of caught up there? Hey, Danny. I'm good.
Hey, hey, Dr. Townsend, how you doing? That's good. So I'm Danny Jones, and I am here in beautiful Hawaii. So, as you know, I am a celibate recoveryman, and there are strict rules in CR: men with men, women with women, always, no ifs, ands, or buts,
Sure.
never breaking those rules.
Sure.
Speaking with my
Scott,
professor
can we
today,
can we
she
get
mentioned
that
that you
to
wrote
our
something
OL
about
students?
life teams and having men and women, and I was just wondering if you could
Scott?
kind of touch
Yes,
on that.
yes, we can. So
Okay,
I'll
we'll
send
get,
it.
Why
we'll get this.
that kind of stuff.
Let me give you the history of it because I love and I just totally love CR. John Bacon and I are very close, but we have a different model here. Several years ago,
Okay, thank you.
do you know Focus on the Family, Danny? They contacted me and said, we don't have a biblical research-based position paper on what they call OSFs, opposite sex friendships, which is, how a man who's married can have gal friends and how a woman who's married can have guy friends. And they said it's really controversial. We're getting a lot of questions about it. Can you write up a position paper and that'll be our Focus on the Family's position? I said, sure. So I went and did the research. I did the exegesis of what the Bible said, and I did the neurological, psychological research and wrote the paper. And if you go to Focus on the Family, it's on their site now. They've been using it for several years. But the idea is that there are several ideas. First of all is that, you've got to be careful sometimes. If somebody is like a sex addict or somebody's had porn problems or problems with sexual acting out or affairs or infidelity or prostitutes, all that stuff, well, no, they've got to have some strict regimens around their life because, they've already had problems. It's sort of like saying you're not going to let an alcoholic tend bar. Bad idea. And so being careful about the vulnerable areas where somebody has been out of control a long time and hasn't gotten enough help and that sort of thing, totally get it. But aside from that, the Bible just shows lots of relationships. I'm talking about them in the paper, like Paul's relationships with women and people like Deborah's song, the prophetess, where they didn't just say they only hung around with their husband or their spouse or their wife. It said that they were interactive. And think about it on a kind of a metric level, Danny. If you believe that in the 22 relational nutrients, which is what the book's coming out about how the Bible teaches that there are all these relational nutrients. Men we're all supposed to give everything and receive everything, just like we're supposed to have calcium and iron, that sort of thing. But men have nutrients that they're better at just genetically to give us, and women have different nutrients, right? It's just they have different specialties. And all of a sudden you say, however, even though it's not in the Bible, we're going to cut off half the human race from getting the nutrients that they need from that other half and vice versa. And I start scratching my head and think, why would God say that? Half? Because God didn't say it. So I always talk about caution, but I've never tried to put a biblical rule where there wasn't a biblical rule, and I have never found the rule that says do that. How's that?
Okay. That's really great. Thank you, Dr. Townsend.
I mean,
Great to see you.
I hope the paper's helpful. All right, Scott. Hello.
Hello, I'm your favorite graduate now from Bentonville, Arkansas. And not only is Walmart here, but I started my practice, Pathways to Success, LLC.
Oh, let me write that down. I like the title there. Pathways
to Success, LLC.
Uh-huh.
And so also meeting with one of your colleagues, Gary Oliver, Dr. Gary Oliver,
My gosh.
lives pretty close to me, and he's helping me with some of my coaching packages. And
You can't find a finer guy than that. So welcome to being on finally using all this brain damage you learned with us and doing something with them. I know it's an exciting time for you, Scott.
Yeah, and so he's helped me with some of my relationship coaching. That's kind of his specialty there. But anyway, putting together my pricing, and I know they talk about in some circles, contracts for number of sessions, number of months, and you keep negotiating that. I'm looking at actually having a series of coaching packages. For example, my one-on-one coaching, it's called the Stepping Stone series. And so I have stepping stones to wholeness, influence, effectiveness, all these different things. And I also have my group coaching, which is the Pathways program, kind of goes with my theme. And so do you feel comfortable with just saying, here's the package and you pay for it? Or do you still like the contract negotiation, or maybe a combination of both? But I feel like it's easier to advertise if I have something that I offer.
I agree with you. Here's the key word that I found out in all of that, Scott. It's a two-syllable word. It's called simple. People are overwhelmed with data and overwhelmed with decisions. We're living in future shock. And so when you present packages that just go A, B, C, and you know what else? If they want to negotiate that, that's fine. You can say, no, that's kind of what it is as a package. You can go, well, I mean, the fact that you want the Uber package, maybe I will negotiate. I think that putting the time in, because it takes more time to create a package and to make it, market friendly and to be clear, but I think it's a great idea. I think you're going to get a lot more success with that.
Okay. Yeah, I have that, and then I do have some open-ended specialty packages because my main focus is pastors, people in higher education, global workers, missionaries, and so
Let
that's
me give you one more suggestion as I'm thinking about it, Scott. A lot of times, somebody will say, I got the package and it lasted 4 months, and Scott was great, and I got what I needed. But a lot of times people will go, he's got what I need, and then you blow off the package and they just stay with you indefinitely. Like, I've got clients that have stayed with me for years, and we don't even talk about renewing. It's sort of like, well, I'll see you next year at what time, when you flying in. So once the trust is there and they get the value from it, you just kind of go interminable and then raise your rates according to, CPI. And remember this, when you raise rates, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered.
What's CPI?
Consumer Price Index.
Oh, okay.
Every couple of years, I raise mine according to that just to keep up with inflation. People expect that.
Well, that's very helpful. Like I said, using a package that's simple, they know what you're offering, transitions or whatever. But if they want to continue, then you could do like, why charge so much, or reduced rate for ongoing.
Got it, man. Keep up good work.
Yeah,
all right.
Very helpful. Thanks.
Hey, Cindy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hear you fine.
Oh, good. I'm Cindy Rodewald, and I am living in Missouri, but I am in California at the moment.
What part?
So I'm in Orange County.
Orange County? I know where that is.
Yeah.
What's
I'm
your
actually
question?
from here. I grew up in Santa Ana, so.
Right down the street.
Yep. My question is, I am coaching a team right now. I work with missionaries, and I'm coaching a team, and it's a multi-generational team. And I wanted to ask a question regarding your area of cohesion and trust, because within this team, it's a group of 4, and there are 3 women, 1 man, 2 younger women, and 1 man and woman that are older, in their 50s. And one of the younger gals is really good at being vulnerable and sharing what her struggles are or whatever. But I'm finding that, especially with the man, I think he's seeing that more as, oh, why can't she just get over it? And like she's more being triggered, which she's really not. She's actually.
I'm sure that your man's wife is very glad that she married him. That's great. I'm sure that's a fun thing for her.
Well, she's there. Yeah, it's a couple that are actually working together. So the poor guy is actually with three women that are actually more relational. So because I'm meeting with them, trying to build the trust in. How do I work with an older man that is struggling with understanding the importance of the vulnerability? And the thing is,
first off, I think, Cindy, is let's understand that he's not struggling. He needs to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks people are whining and need to get over it. That's not a guy who's struggling. So we want to build a struggle into him that says, maybe I need to be more vulnerable because life would work better for me. So let's create some struggle here in a positive disruption way. I've got a book called Loving People, and there's a chapter there on attachment where you learn how to ask the right questions. When People Fuel comes out in the summer, it'll have a lot of information about this too. But for right now, you've got kind of two ways you can do this. One is deeply one-on-one time with them, or is all of your time group time?
I do one-on-one time with them sometimes. I have not with him specifically.
Okay, put that number one on your calendar. And you say, here's our coaching time, Jim. I love what you're doing, love what you bring to the kingdom. I'm seeing a problem in the team because you seem to be kind of impatient with people's struggles. Tell me more about that. And then kind of using what you're learning here, and you talk about how the biblical basis for vulnerability, all the stuff you're learning in our classes, and why you found that helpful, and you believe that it would be to his advantage to learn to be more vulnerable. And he does one of two things. He goes, yeah, my wife tells me that, so do my kids, and okay, busted, let me learn this. Or he goes, well, I don't see why we need all this. And then you say, well, John's got a book, and it's got a lot of Bible verses, and you're a Bible guy, and you take him through that. Sometimes people need that to say there's an authoritative, exegetical look at vulnerability issues. But don't shame him on the group. We don't want to go there. Start with that. And then just say, if he goes, well, I don't want to do this, he said, well, it's not going to go away, Jim. It's a core part of us being the optimized team that God intended to be. So we will keep working on it. You're the team leader. And most of the time, people kind of, once you can access that part of them, gets past the fear and the judgment and the impatience, then they start feeling better about things. In fact, one thing I do sometimes is I'm vulnerable with that person. I'll say, well, let me give an example. I felt really insecure when I came in front of you guys, like I was an idiot and I was going to be awful. And I was kind of anxious the night before, and then it went really well because you guys are warm. That's kind of stuff, Jim. I want to challenge you to be like that. Those kind of things will help you break through.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Good luck. Kelly.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Kelly, and I am in Topeka, Kansas.
Hello.
And hi. I have a question. You talked about the importance of relational trust. And how does one address a culture that says they want honesty and trust, yet it's just words, and there's actually a culture of fear and mistrust? What can I do to...
Well, let's first talk about what your position is. Like, are you the owner? Are you the janitor? Are you the consultant? Because where you intervene makes a big difference in this.
Yeah. So my title is Senior Director, so I am right under the CEO. But I feel like a janitor.
Why would that be?
But no, I'm a Senior Director.
Is it significant? Were you being funny when you said you feel like a janitor, or was it sort of like really good?
No, I mean, I don't feel like a janitor, and I'm trying to see if I can actually create relational trust when it's such a huge culture of mistrust, yet they think it's
first thing to do, Kelly, is can you get buy-in on this from your CEO? That makes it a lot easier if you get buy-in.
Well, see, that's part of the problem is I can get buy-in with words, but then I think there's blind spots and only living in positive reality where they think that she thinks there is trust and honesty.
Do you have enough of a relationship with your CEO who seems to like you that you can say, as I'm studying our organization and making it better, Susie, and I love it that you really believe in relational trust. Is it okay if you and I talk about how I do or don't implement that and how you do or don't so we can be a team up on that? Would she be bugged or offended on that?
I think she would be open to listening to it. I'm just not sure of what her response would be afterwards, meaning she might give lips.
No problem. No problem. So far, so good. You got to start with. I'm going to A, B, C, D, but you got to get. We got the A. We got it checked off on that. We got the B checked off on that. Then the next one say, "Oh, great! I want to be accountable." And part of our weekly conversations while we run this company is that we can't be everything because we got to talk about performance and sales and money and all that. But why don't we just say for like 5 or 10 minutes between each other, you tell me if I am fostering relational trust. I'll tell you what I'm working on, and you give me feedback. And I'll do the same thing with you. Now, you're putting yourself under the radar, too, and hopefully you're doing a good job. But also, now she is under your scrutiny, too, and you can say, you said that you wanted to encourage people to be vulnerable and be vulnerable yourself. Remember when we knew that something had been a struggle for you in that account, and you went, "Oh, everything's fine, everything's perky." I'd say, that's kind of not what we do. And then all of a sudden she develops what we call the observing ego and goes, "Oh yeah, I don't do that." And then all of a sudden then she becomes a partner with you. But you have laid a systematic path for her emotional accountability to you as well as back to her.
Okay.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hey, Sally.
Hey, John. Sally's our last question for this first hour, and then we'll take a break.
All righty.
Hi, I'm Sally from California. My question
Hi, Sally.
to you is about parachurch ministries and their relationship with the local church. And I just was interested in hearing your wisdom about how to go about, if in the future I wanted to start a ministry, but I really honor my local church. How can I do so in a way that doesn't draw people away from the local church, but supports the local church? And the reason I'm asking is because in my locality, there are some hard feelings between the two. So,
Which direction?
I've mostly heard it from the local church toward parachurch ministries.
Yeah. Parachurch ministries tend not to feel that kind of feeling of being sort of poached, I'll say, the way that churches do. Churches feel exploited and poached by speakers, people with ministries, people with an idea, because they're like, we're doing all the work here, and you come in and you do your smoke and mirrors show and your hoop-de-doo, and then you take our people away, and actually it has happened. So that's why I love groups like, Crew, who are very, very careful and respectful about that. They do a great job. Let me just give you some sort of guidelines there. Once you've got your act together, meaning you've got an organizational structure, you've got the mission, vision, and culture and all that stuff down, and you've got your materials ready, you go to, you can either go to one church, try to get the senior pastor, if not the senior pastor, the executive pastor, or you go to a group. Sometimes you have access to 10 churches, sometimes you have access to one, whatever, the more the better. And you make a presentation of those people. But make sure it's based on who they are and what they need. In other words, don't do the consultant thing of coming in and saying, here's our dog and pony show. That means you do your homework. And I like to have, it's easier on a one-on-one level, obviously. It's not scalable, but it's easier to go in and say, I've created this and I think it's got a lot of value, but tell me about your church so I'll understand what you guys do and all that. They want to talk to somebody, and they want to talk to somebody that really wants to listen. And you're learning a lot of empathic attunement listening skills here at the Institute. And so spend, probably the first third of your time, if you've got an hour with them, on what they do. Big mistake consultants make is going the other way. Nobody cares about the dog and pony show until they feel hurt. And then you've got to be a little agile about this, which means as you're talking then, your job is to present what you do in terms of how it will benefit them. And so you've got to be thinking, what did they just tell me? They're interested in the community. They don't have a lot of resource. Well, my ministry or our ministry really wants to partner with you in accelerating your reach to the community. That's the agile part. Now, if you're not an agile person, just listen to them and then go away for a week and come back again. But it takes a long time to get 2 meetings with a busy pastor. I try to be agile to it one meeting. But you contextualize it in terms of what their needs are, their obstacles, their challenges, and their visions. And then once you've done that, you ask any questions about it. They'll have a few questions. And then as much as you can, just say, I know that there have been, and you validate the history, and there have been occasions where parachurch ministries have not honored that, and I want to make myself accountable to you. I want to work with you guys' umbrella, and I believe in you. So let me know if I don't do that, and what's our next step. And I always end up with an action step. Let me meet so-and-so, or can I speak to this group, or can I put my materials out here? That's a great meeting and has the highest probability of success.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, best wishes, Sally. All right, great question. That was fun.
Time for a break.
And Scotty, I hear it's time for a break.
Yes, it is.
But let's just make it a short one. We already had one, and I think everybody needs to. We'll move around. Let's like a 4-minute break or something. We got a lot of stuff to do. Wayne Williams is a rock star. We want to give him a lot of room. So how about that?
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so let me just enable my. So I thought what we would do this time is something kind of fun. There's Wayne. Hey, Wayne. Enable your audio if you can.
Perfect. Is that better?
Yes, it is.